got it. Piece of cake. You can laugh at me, that's fine. We're twins. Except I have a stool. Give me a second here. All right. Whoever it is in the church that keeps busting preachers' knees, please stop. Serious. Let me sit down. Hopefully everybody can see me. Sorry about this. I got a little boo-boo Thursday night, and it hurts, but the doctors are not sure if I tore my ACL or not, so we'll find out on next week after I get an MRI done. So I asked that you guys please pray for me that it is not a torn ACL, because I really do not like surgery, and my wife has a different idea of what that surgery looks like. She has a lot of things she wants done while I'm under the knife, and I said, no, let's just stick with one thing. So anyways, but I pray that it's just a really, really, really bad sprain. So, but I was, if you must know, I was playing rugby. I probably shouldn't have been. Getting old ain't for sissies. So I was playing rugby, and no, I didn't get hit or anything. I just came down on it wrong and hyperextended my knee, and was in a lot of pain. But just, I know some of you guys are wondering, I did finish the game, okay? That's what's important. I finished the game, even though it hurt really bad. All right, if you open up your Bibles to Daniel, we're in Daniel 6 today, and we're going to cover about half of Daniel 6, verses 1 through 15. Remember last week we left off, Daniel's finally being recognized. He's getting put back where he's supposed to be, right? He's getting put back up on the I don't know if you want to call it a pilaster or something, but he's getting the recognition that he's supposed to get for the gifts that God had given him. You know, Nebuchadnezzar had lifted him up to a point, and then he's kind of disappeared. Now Belshazzar is quickly putting him back up, and Belshazzar is now gone. But King Darius is now in charge, and King Darius recognizes just who Daniel is. And in this epic tale of Daniel, our hero, Daniel is the hero, and the kings, they just kind of seem to come and go, right? And Daniel remains. So let's start in verse 1. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps, to be throughout the whole kingdom, and over them 3 high officials, to whom Daniel was one, to whom the satraps would give account, so that the king might suffer no loss. Then this Daniel became distinguished above all other high officials and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. So Daniel's promoted, not just back to where he was, but now he is the most high advisor in the kingdom, okay? He's been promoted over all the other officials, including the satraps. What is a satrap? I had to look that up. I couldn't let that go. What was a satrap? The only thing, they were the high officials over the kingdom. And the best comparison for modern day that I could come up with is like a sheriff or a constable. Not just a sheriff's deputy, but a sheriff. It's kind of a government position. And you're kind of a head of something. And your job is to protect the kingdom. You're to protect the kingdom from invasion and from other people and thoughts that would kind of drive the kingdom crazy and drive them away from the king. You're supposed to protect the king and the kingdom. So Daniel was set up above all these satraps. He was one of the most important people. Number 3, it says. He's one of the most important people that is underneath Darius's rule. He's finally gotten the promotion that he's deserved. The promotion that God gave him the power to get. The promotion that Daniel really should have had all along. So I got to thinking about that. Promotions can be a really, really good thing, right? Unless you are at Southeast and you get promoted to the head preacher and people take out your knees. But promotions can be really, really good things. We've all had good promotions in our lives. We all went through kindergarten and went to first grade. We called that a promotion ceremony. Some places called it a graduation. It's sort of the same thing. A lot of us have graduated from high school. That's kind of a promotion, right? A lot of us have gotten promotions in school, or not just school, but in our jobs. We've gotten promotions that were good in our jobs. We moved up in our jobs. And promotions can be a really good thing. Have you ever had a bad promotion? Ever had a bad promotion that you really regretted getting? I had one of those once in my life. I was promoted from an estimator in a roofing company to, let's just call it chief operations manager. I basically ran the company. And it wasn't a good promotion for me for a lot of reasons. One, I was in way over my head. Two, I didn't handle stress very well at that point in my life. And most of all, what really was bad about that promotion is I worked a lot. I would get up to go to work at 3 in the morning. I'd be there about 3:30 to 4 o'clock. And I'd stay there until about 7:30 at night. And I'd do that Monday through Saturday. And I would go to church on Sunday so I could say, hey, I did church, and then I would go back to work Sunday afternoon. And this is a really, really bad promotion for me. And it really, what it was bad about it was it drove a wedge between myself and God. I didn't have time to focus on God. I gave him Sunday morning, and that was it. You know, that was all I could give him. And as you might guess, as you go on, you start to drive a wedge between your relationship with God and yourself. You start to see it manifest itself as a wedge between you and your wife, and you and your kids, and you and your friends. And you start to recognize these things, and they start to go, well, we sure do miss the old you. You say, yeah, so do I. I didn't realize he'd disappeared. But I've had a bad promotion before, and it was a promotion that drove a wedge. And I'd argue that any promotion that drives a wedge between you and God, and your relationship with God, might not be a very good promotion. You might want to rethink that. In verse 4 it says, then the high officials and the satraps sought to find a ground for complaint against Daniel with regard to the kingdom, but they could find no ground for complaint or any fault, because he was faithful, and no error or fault was found in him. Then these men said, we shall not find any ground for complaint against this Daniel unless we find it in connection with the law of his God. Okay, so Daniel's back on top. What's one of the problems with being on top? Everybody else wants to be on top. They're all gunning for your position, right? They all want Daniel taken down so that they can get up there in that position. So everybody that is a smart guy, a wise guy, they're all looking at Daniel, trying to figure out, how are we going to knock him off? How are we going to get him out of that position? They feel like if they can get rid of him, they can move a little bit closer to the king. They can move a little bit closer to the rule. They can be a little bit more important. I know in construction, we call it a dog-eat-dog world. That's not just a construction term. But in construction, when I was in construction, that's the way it was. It was a dog-eat-dog world. Most of the stuff I was involved in, most of the times it's people playing games. They want to be on top. And they're going to fight for who's going to be on top. And so what you did is you did things to make sure that it wasn't you that got in trouble. You made sure that somebody else got blamed for what happened. And you were always doing things to try to make yourself look better. And you were always looking for ways to be the guy on top. Because if you weren't the guy on top, you were guaranteed that you were going to get fed a lot of garbage. You're going to have to do a lot of garbage jobs. But you always want to try to get on top. Now, that hurts sometimes in our lives. It hurts when we're involved with that. It hurts sometimes in retrospect when we look back and we were the ones that were pushing other people down to get on top. Sometimes it really hurts when other people step on us to get to the top. And it can really, really separate us from who God is in our life, because we can get so caught up in the dull drudgery of being pushed down all the time by the world that we forget that God's out there to lift us up. There is no promotion that is worth all of that, I promise you. In verse 6 it says, then these high officials and these satraps came by agreement to the king, and they said to him, O King Darius, live forever. All the high officials of the kingdom, the prefects and the satraps, the counselors and the governors are agreed that the king should establish an ordinance and enforce an injunction that whoever makes petition to any god or man for 30 days, except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. These guys are just flat out lying to the king, aren't they? They really are. They said that they all came together and made this idea. They all came up with this idea. That would probably include Daniel was in the process. But we don't see Daniel being in the process. I don't think Daniel would agree to this, right? Daniel would say, no, I'm not going to fall down and worship King Darius over my God. But these guys, they're assuring the king that, hey, everybody's on board with this. This is a great idea. And of course, King Darius, being like the other kings, it's all about me, the king. You know, this is a great idea. I want them to worship me. But they're lying to him. I thought about this too this week, and I thought sometimes in our lives, we don't realize when we tell lies who it can hurt. We don't realize just what the little lies that we tell can actually do to people. And people that we love sometimes. And I thought it was really good this morning in class. Homer brought up a friend of his that he knew that would lie even when the truth was a better story. Have you met people like that in your life where they'll lie even when the truth is a better story? They'll lie about something. I've met people like that. And you just look at them and you can't figure out why they do that. Why do they do that? But these satraps, though, they're lying. They're lying because they want to get somewhere. And I've come across people like that in my life too. Sometimes they lie about nothing, but sometimes they lie to move ahead. Sometimes they lie to put you down so that they can move ahead. And you know, I think I just want to find those people and just punch them in the face, don't you? I mean, doesn't it just aggravate you to no end? I mean, realistically. I mean, I know that's not very Jesus-like, but realistically, you just get so aggravated with people that want to abuse you in that way. But now let's see what Daniel does. Because Daniel doesn't take them on like this. Verse 8, now, O king, establish the injunction and sign the document so that it cannot be changed, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked. Therefore, King Darius signed the document and injunction. Okay, so the king's been duped, right? The king has been duped into signing this into law. Now, he's made it law. He doesn't even realize what's going to happen. He's going to find out when it's too late. The king has been duped. When on top, others will try to take your spot every chance they have. Every chance they have, they will try to cheat and lie to get on top. A good man will do what's right some of the time. A godly man will do what's right even when it hurts themselves. And this is what we see Daniel doing here. God doesn't want good people. He wants godly people. He wants people like Daniel. He wants people to look at this situation and say, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. He wants us to make a sacrifice even when we can cheat our way out of it. He wants us to make a sacrifice even when, if we would just tell one little lie, we would get by. He wants us to make a sacrifice when we could just do one little thing to get by, but it would be deceitful. He wants us to give that up and make the sacrifice, even when the outcome might be death. When is the last time you were ever faced with doing the right thing versus the thing that was right for you? Catch that? When was the last time in our lives that we were ever faced with doing the right thing versus the thing that was right for us? I know a lot of times in my life I've come across the right thing and the thing that was right for me. And I've wanted to take that thing that was right for me because that's going to help me out right now. But God doesn't want that. He wants us to make the right decision, the decision to follow Him. In verse 10, when Daniel knew that the document had been signed, he went to his house where he had windows in his upper chamber open towards Jerusalem. He got down on his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he had done previously. Do you think Daniel knew this was all a trap? I think he had some inclination that this is a trap. Why were the windows open? You know, why was this customary? What was his reason for having the windows open? I don't think that I do this. If I'm in his situation, I go, let's see. If they catch me praying, I'm going to the lion's den. I think I close the windows. I think I close the doors. I mean, how about you? How many of you have confronted death in your own life and you say, yeah, I can handle death because I know I'm going to go to a better place with God? I can say that. I feel that in my heart. but I don't want that death to come by the teeth of lions. I mean, seriously, I don't want to be torn limb from limb by lions. I mean, I'd much rather go in my sleep, peaceful, unlike the people that will be in the car with me screaming and yelling. But you know, honestly, I'm okay with the death because I know where I'm going to go, but I really don't want to be torn limb from limb for lions. I think this plays into my decision. I think I would probably close the windows, but not Daniel. Daniel doesn't do that. Daniel leaves the windows open. He doesn't care. He has so much faith in God that he doesn't care that it's lions. He doesn't care that death is coming. He has so much faith in God, he knows that God will save him if that's what God wants. Daniel doesn't care. When is the last time that we were able to say that we had faith like Daniel? That it didn't matter what the outcome was, that we trusted God to protect us and watch over us and take us through the situation. That kind of faith does not waver in the face of death. It does not waver in the face of enemies. It doesn't waver in the face of life. That kind of faith is steadfast. In verse 11 it says, "Then these men came by agreement, and they found Daniel making petition and plea before his God. Then they came near and said before the king concerning the injunction, 'O king, did you not sign an injunction that anyone who makes petition to any god or man within 30 days except to you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions?' The king answered and said, 'The thing stands fast according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which cannot be revoked.' Then they answered and they said before the king, 'Daniel, who is one of your exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, O king, or the injunction you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day.'" Bunch of tattletales, aren't they? Hey, they're a bunch of tattletales. These guys got exactly what they wanted. They got a video of Daniel praying 3 times a day, or at least a stone etching or something. They've got some sort of proof that they're taking to the king. Surely he's not taking it on their word. Or maybe he is. But they knew Daniel wouldn't stop. They knew they had him. They knew he wouldn't stop worshiping his God, because they knew what a faithful person Daniel was. And you know what? These guys also, they knew something else. Remember, let's go back to the lion's den for a second. Why a lion's den? Because they remember what happened last time they tried to set some of these guys up from Judah, right? They said, let's put them in the fiery furnace. And apparently, these guys from Judah are fireproof. So they're going to see if they're sharp teeth proof too, right? They're going to see if they can handle lions as well. So these guys aren't dumb. But they pointed this out. I'd love to sit in front of you today and say, I've never tattled on anyone, and I've never turned anyone in for doing something wrong that might have a benefit for myself. So I'll sit here and say that. No. I'm only kidding. I've done that several times, I think, in my life. I've turned people in because I thought it might have a benefit to myself. I know that I've dealt with people on a criminal situation where I was absolutely forthright with the police and said, yeah, these people need to be persecuted and prosecuted and turned in for what they did. And probably didn't have to. It was a young kid. Probably didn't have to. But sometimes we do things because we were seeking some sort of justice in our own lives. We're seeking some sort of elevation. I am better than you, and we're trying to move up this imaginary food chain, if you will, to the top. We seek out ways to protect ourselves and to profit for ourselves from the shortcomings of others from time to time. It's a very natural act for us as humans. But the godly act is to seek out others' shortcomings and help them compensate for their shortcomings, even when it's at your own expense. I can't help but think that that's part of what's going through Daniel's mind at this time. I'm going to help these guys see who God really is. I'm going to help them understand that I didn't just get here because I was super smart. I got here because of my faith in a God, the God. In verse 14 it says, "Then the king, when he heard these words, was much distressed and set his mind to deliver Daniel. and he labored till the sun went down to rescue him. Then these men came by agreement to the king and said to the king, Now, O king, that it is a law of the Medes and the Persians that no injunction or ordinance that the king establishes can be changed. The king realizes he's been duped. He realizes that these super smart guys, these wise guys, if you will, have duped him and tricked him into killing one of his top advisors. And he doesn't know what to do. And he's trying to find a loophole, right? He's trying to find a loophole in the law to save him. And he can't. And these guys show up and they say, Hey, a deal's a deal, king. The law is the law. There is no changing that. Even when you're on the top, you still are subject to the law. That's why I'm so glad that I worship the one true God. Right? That's why I'm so glad that I worship the I am that I am, the Father of the Jesus, the Christ. Because, see, Jesus comes in and he says, Yeah, I know you broke the law, but that's okay. I've got it covered. See, Jesus says, the law may be the law, but I have grace, and I have it in abundance, and I'm going to get you through this. I'll cover the law for you. Jesus takes care of what I am unable to do. We worship a God who is looking for ways to get people into heaven, not to keep them out. And he sends his son to say, Yeah, the law is the law, and I'm here to take care of the law. You don't have to die in a den with lions, because I'm here for it. This week, when we have to face the world, and we have to deal with the top, and we have to deal with those that are on the top, and those trying to get to the top, and we have to deal with all these things that are happening in our lives, I ask that we try to extend some grace to those that are on top, to those that are struggling to get on top, those that are struggling to stay above the water. I ask that we extend a little mercy to those who are caught up in the world, just like Jesus extended that grace and mercy to us. Will you pray with me? Lord Father in heaven, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer today and bless us, Lord. Lord, bless us if we are at the top or if we are not. Lord, help us to see that it is you that got us to the top. It is you that keep us at the top. And it is you that protect us from the top. Lord, let our words be words of truth, not words of lies. Let our words help others to know who you are and to drive them closer to you. Father, make doing the right thing as natural as breathing for us, even when the right thing may have painful consequences for us. Let us know that you are right there, and even if the world disagrees, you will give us approval for doing the right thing. Father, give us the faith that is strong. Give us faith that is unshakable. Faith that will last even when the world comes down around us. Faith that endures forever with you, Lord. Father, let us not seek to keep others down, but to build them up. To build them up and help them be better than they were for your glory, Lord. Father God, let us extend the mercy you show us. Let us extend that mercy that you show us to those around us every day. Let us not keep this mercy and this grace in secret, but share the mercy and grace that you've given us with the world for your glory. Let us share your glory, your mercy, your love, your grace, your gospel, your Jesus, our Jesus. In his holy name we come to you in prayer. Amen.